You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to another edition of The C-List. I'm Cindy Settleman. We're going through the archives of shows that highlight those that are low on the totem pole. This time we're talking about a go-home show to one of the biggest events of 1994, Starrcade. What's also interesting is that it's a Christmas Eve show with some hilarious moments. And joining me for that hilarity itself is Daria Quinn.
Hello.
Hello. So, how long have you been a fan of pro wrestling?
I'd say most of my life.
Mm-hmm.
But the real moment where I started was 96. It was right before the NWO was really revealed. It was the night that Sting, Macho Man, and Lex Luger were chosen to be the team that goes up against Hall and Nash at Bash at the Beach. And I remember that specifically for that angle, and for the first time I ever saw Rey Mysterio wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
So that would say I'd call that the beginning of my real wrestling fandom.
All right, sounds good to me. So are you ready to take on some WCW Pro?
Yeah, let's do this.
All right. Let's get started by taking a look at WCW Pro from December 24th, 1994. And the show starts off with the announcer stating that all Hogan wants for Christmas is Revenge on the Butcher. Yes, this is the infamous Ed Leslie main evented pay-per-view that made a joke of Starrcade.
Oh.
Then we get to the announce team of Sully, Zbyszko, and Dusty talking about the Butcher-Hogan feud and breaking down the feud with the way of Christmas lines such as Butcher getting a big lump of coal while the Hulkamaniacs get presents.
Yeah, and you know the weird thing about it was like when Larry Zbyszko was going on about this, it almost maybe it was the way I heard it, but it was like he was going on about how the Butcher was gonna get coal for Christmas, and then he like ends it by being like on the Butcher's side when he's like talking about putting Hulkamania to sleep, and it's like, can Larry Zbyszko pick a side? Are you good? Are you bad? What's going on here?
I have no idea, and this is how Zbyszko is as an announcer. He will berate a heel and then elevate them. Unless you're Lord Steven Regal, then he'll just berate you.
And another thing, is it just me, or are they like standing in front of a green screen of a show from like 2 or 3 years before?
They are.
So that is legitimately a show from like 2 or 3 years before?
Yep.
Oh, dear God. I was looking at that and I'm like, isn't there a background? Isn't there like a crowd shot from a Clash of the Champions or something?
Either that or WCW Worldwide from 92.
Oh, dude. Seriously, not. Oh. Okay, well. You know, I'm not even surprised at this point. You know, millions upon millions of dollars that this company had, and they couldn't even get couldn't even use a live shot of the actual crowd on the green screen.
And yet they could do it with WCW Worldwide.
Okay, so I guess nobody gave a crap about Pro. If so, why are you putting Dusty Rhodes on Pro? Why are you putting Gordon Soley on Pro? Why is he the C-list guy? Why isn't Tony... Yeah, actually, I know why Tony Schiavone's not the C-list guy. Never mind.
Yeah, because Tony Schiavone's both the A-list and B-list guy. No. Schiavone was the A-list guy. Bischoff was the B-list guy.
Yeah. And didn't Tony have, like, some kind of, like, high-up backstage role of some sort, which would have, like, given, like, legitimacy as, like, being favored over Soley, who was considered, considered, like, a relic of an old time that WCW didn't want to have anymore.
Yeah, pretty much.
So okay, we got this opening segment, green screen and all.
And then we get to match number 1 featuring the WCW World Tag Team Champions, Stars and Stripes, the Patriot and Marcus Alexander Bagwell versus Carl Fergie and Ricky Santana. You know what the interesting thing about this match is?
What's the strangest thing about this match?
We find out that the tag champs don't have a match on Starrcade.
Yeah, but this is Marcus Bagwell. Did we really want Marcus Bagwell on Starrcade?
Well, you had Jean-Paul Levesque and Mr. T fighting Kevin Sullivan.
Well, Jean-Paul Levesque would eventually become a good wrestler.
But how can you forget your tag titles?
I don't know. Why don't you ask WWE around 2005?
Because nobody else cared about the tag titles. And plus, it was a brand split.
That's what I mean. Is like tag team titles can get forgotten very easily if you're not paying attention. It also helps when you're putting them on Marcus Bagwell.
By the way,
Marcus
we should note
Bagwell was never going to happen. WCW, I don't know what you were thinking. Why are you trying to make Marcus Bagwell happen? He's never going to happen. Stop making him happen.
But then again, you have a pay-per-view match with the Nasty Boys.
Was this 94?
Yeah.
They draw better than Bagwell. I mean,
then why don't you just put the belts on them? Put the belts on the Nasty Boys or Harlem Heat.
You know, that's actually a really good question. Why aren't Harlem Heat the champions right at this point? Like, they are literally the best tag team they have. Did they just debut at this point? I'm trying to remember when Harlem Heat even came in.
92.
Okay, so they had been there for a couple of years. There's no reason for them to be considered like nobodies.
And we're talking about this because the match, there was pretty much nothing to talk about.
There was nothing to talk about. I mean, who were the guys they wrestled?
Carl Fergie and Ricky Santana.
I have no idea who those people are.
But the state of Ricky Santana's gear, that is some sweet gear. The royal purple and gold.
So that was that was the first match. Wasn't much going on there.
Yeah.
Obviously Stars and Stripes won.
Yeah. Patriot, or as Larry Zbyszko called him, Patriot. And he called Marcus Alexander Bagwell Fu Manchu Bagwell.
Yeah, I don't remember that one at all. Fu Manchu. There's nothing. Why would Fu Manchu, of all the people in the world, you could compare Buff Bagwell to? Why Fu Manchu? He didn't even have the mustache at the time.
Well, he was starting to get the mustache.
Not enough to. Okay, no.
Yeah, Zbyszko was having an off night tonight on commentary.
And this is Larry Zbyszko too, so you got to know that's a pretty off night.
Yeah. But then, speaking of off nights, we get a commercial for the Hulk Hogan Hotline.
Oh my God. I remember being a kid in 1994, and I mean, I grew up with Hulk Hogan. I knew who Hulk Hogan was. I was probably a Hulkamaniac for about a year or two. But, you know, by the time 1994 came along, I was in that camp of, like, wrestling is lame and stupid and hokey and all that. And so I'm watching this thing of the Hulk Hogan Hotline, and I'm seeing him do his little brother, prayers and vitamins and bull stuff. And
Brother Jack, dude, brother.
Yeah, and I'm just remembering how absolutely lame that came off in 1994. Like, there was nothing cool about that. If I came across that while surfing for something to watch on TV, and I came across Hulk Hogan, I didn't even stay on it because it was just so stupid. And I don't understand how this guy let himself become a parody of himself that quickly. Because 94, that's only about 4 years removed from him in The Ultimate Warrior, where you would say, I don't know, maybe 6-8 years from his peak over. I don't know. I had a point. I forgot what it was.
It's just something we'll never get. We get to match number 2, which is Das Wunderkind Alex Wright versus Hollywood Bobby Starr.
Oh, there's somebody else WCW is trying to make happen. That's not going to happen.
Das Wunderkind.
Das Wunderkind. And this was like in the beginning of Das Wunderkind too, so they were actually trying to push him at this point.
He got pushed because of the Germany market they were trying to break into, and granted, it did pay off.
So he's basically Jinder Mahal without the title.
In a sense, and he's not being pushed that hard.
That is true. He's only getting wins over losers like this. When he takes on real names, Arn Anderson stares at him stupid and then flinches and gets DDT'd. So I do remember that.
Yep. Once again, nothing match. Just arm wringer slap by Bobby Starr. Alex Wright gets some offense in. Reversal by Bobby Starr. Alex Wright hits what his finisher is at the time. Backward splash off the... not running backward splash off the second rope, but it's a body press, backwards body press off the second rope for the 3. A body press was the finish for the second time this episode.
It's like... Yeah, it was like he had the quick little match. He hit his diving back body press, and then he did his little dance thing that he does. That was pretty much it. They talked about him fighting Jean-Paul Levesque at Starrcade, which would be like the one thing Triple H did in WCW, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Then we go to the Starrcade Control Center. Woo!
Yep.
Another Hulk Hogan promo.
Ugh. And it's the worst one yet. Jimmy Hart talks about country legends being in the audience, and the Hulkster talks about how he's thankful that Christmas is behind him, so he can get his mission accomplished and bury the Butcher 6 feet under, like he hasn't done that in WWF.
I actually cannot understand for the life of me anyone with a brain that would have any sort of sway whatsoever not working their asses off to basically beg Hogan to not do this whole thing with the Butcher. Because it's like, I get that there's the creative control clause, so Hogan's going to muscle his way into letting all his friends get into nice spots and whatnot. But I can't understand why even Eric Bischoff would be like, yo, dude, of all the guys you want us to put in the main event, not that one. Definitely not that one. That one's not going to happen. That one didn't happen for 8 years in WWE. The only reason anybody even pulled up with him at all was because he was friends with you. So, no, anybody else. How about Earthquake? We got Earthquake. Let's do Earthquake. No, can't do Earthquake. Crap. Okay, Kevin Sullivan. How about Kevin Sullivan? He's too small? Okay, never mind. What
about Vader?
Yeah, what about brother. Vader? Vader was still around then, wasn't he? 94?
Nah, brother. Vader, I want to save him for later.
Well, he ended up going to WWE instead, so you...
No, Super Brawl 5.
Oh, it actually happened.
Yeah, and there were good matches. Nothing to write home about, but there were good matches.
Well, I mean, you got to do something with them. So anyway, we got Hogan. He's talking about the Butcher. Hogan promo as usual. Brothers and the training and the prayers and the you betrayed me. And it's basically if you would have gone like 5 years in the past and he was doing a promo about Macho Man, just take out Macho Man and put Butcher in there. Basically the same thing.
It is the same thing. So we get to match number 3, which is the Natural Dustin Rhodes versus Killer Mark Kyle.
these enhancement guys, I swear it is like, I don't know. Did WCW just have a lame wrestler name generator?
Well, the thing is, Kyle actually used that name in Smoky Mountain.
Okay, so did Jim Cornette have a lame name wrestler name generator?
No, because Killer Mark Kyle used that in WCW back in '91.
Okay, so I'm supposed to know who this guy is then, aren't I?
No.
Okay, because I don't know who this guy is then.
And then we get to the actual match itself, and guess how it ends?
Well,
Actually, guess what the match is all about.
I don't remember a body press in this one, but that's because I don't remember Dustin Rhodes ever doing a body press.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously Dustin wins, because...
with his bulldog, but it's the same basic action that we've seen. It's arm wringer, hip toss, arm wringer, chop, and finish.
You know, the worst part of it is, like, the first two matches, they almost seem kind of interesting. You get to the third, and it's like, okay, you've seen the formula. But I think it's also the fact that Dustin, as, like, the mini Dusty, or, like, Dusty Jr. kind of character that he's supposed to be at this point, it doesn't work for him. It never worked for him. He's not his dad. He's not a smaller version of his dad. He's not a younger version of his dad. And
he's not as charismatic as his dad either.
But it's like every time he's tried to be that Dusty Rhodes Jr. character, he just comes off like this totally lame guy. And to be honest with you, I don't think the Goldust character is much better, but at least he's doing something.
Which is why I also liked Black Rain.
To an extent, I think Black Rain was also one of those, like, edgelord teenagers that kind of, like, took it a little too far. You know, when you're bringing, like, rabid rats to the ring and you're hanging out with guys named Relic.
You know that's Killer spelled backwards, right?
Yes, Killer spelled backwards. We got it, Mike, today. You really don't have to keep telling us that.
That was Don West, by the way.
We still didn't need to be told that every single segment he was in.
Right.
Every week.
Speaking of every week on the Pro, it's the Diamond Dallas Page Arm Wrestling Challenge.
Oh, good God!
Over the past few weeks, he's been challenging wrestlers to an arm wrestling contest, and if they beat DDP, they get a date with the Diamond Doll.
They get with a date with a Diamond Doll, right? Because it sounds like you said something else.
No, they get a date with the Diamond Doll. That's exactly what I said.
Okay. Here we are.
Who wouldn't want to get it on with the Diamond Doll, though?
Well, I wouldn't blame anybody for wanting to get it on with the Diamond Doll, but I don't think that you can, like, win somebody in an arm wrestling match like that. This was definitely DDP in his trying too hard phase. I mean, the guy, like, he was literally taking every gimmick he could do and just, like, throwing it against a wall. It's like he took, like, Michael Hayes' personality and, like, ramped it on cocaine, and then, like,
with a bad
steroids in it, and then, like, try to be superstar Billy Graham at the same time, and it's like, take a gimmick.
Yes, please. Jobber Gary McAllister comes out, and he actually gets an entrance.
Yeah, we actually had a jobber with an entrance.
Yeah, and guess who was also poking his head out behind the curtain? Dave Sullivan. In his Hulkamania gear.
Oh. Now, this arm wrestling thing, this led to, like, Dave Sullivan actually trying to get with Diamond Doll for a while, right?
He actually did.
Okay,
he actually won the arm wrestling contest, but we're getting ahead of ourselves because that's an episode I want to cover later.
Okay. Oh, so he won it on Pro?
Yeah, he won it on Pro.
Oh. Okay.
But Gary McAllister didn't get the Diamond Doll because he got beat in less than 15 seconds.
Yeah, they didn't even try to make it close.
Nah. I mean, you need to get like somebody like Van Hammer back from wherever the hell he was.
Oh, yeah, Van Hammer. Van Hammer had been in that company since, what, 92?
91.
91. It's like... And this is me going back and, like, watching, like, WCW on the network and kind of, like, realizing, like, Van Hammer was there, like, really early in the 90s, and then he just, like, disappeared for, like, 5 years. And then, like, he comes back with Raven's Flock. But I guess he was, like, under contract that entire time?
Yeah, but he would still float around Pro, Worldwide, all that time.
Okay, so he didn't just, like, he didn't go home and sit at home like Lanny Poffo did.
There's a difference between Lanny Poffo and Van Hammer because they never put Lanny on TV.
Right, but I mean, in the way WCW was about, like, we're going to pay guys and we're just going to hold on to them so they don't go to WWE.
But the thing was, they hired Lanny and he wasn't even wanted in the WWE.
Yeah, I never said it made sense.
Speaking of not making sense,
oh boy,
we get to this.
Another Hulk Hogan segment.
Yes, this time he's at a special event put on by the Yankees. Reading, "'Twas the night before Christmas." I guess you had to stick it somewhere? I mean, you couldn't stick this on, like, Main Event, which was a clip show at the time?
Oh, the thing about it is, when you first told me about this, I was imagining it was like this skit where, like, Hulk Hogan is sitting by a warm fire in a nice chair, and he's, like, dressed in the nines, ready for the holidays. You got the stockings hung up, and he's, like, really getting into the reading of "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." Like, you know, something you would think WWE would have done, like, really camp it up and make it, like, very holiday. Instead, he's just at this event in front of a crowd of what I'm assuming is, like, 5 to 10-year-old kids. And
right.
He's just got this piece of paper in his hand, and he's just reading it, like giving this half-assed reading. And I'm just like, no, I wanted to see, where's the camp? Where's the silly? You tell me that Hulk Hogan is going to read The Night Before Christmas on a wrestling show. I'm expecting him to go full Mr. Nanny, and I get this boring dreck? What the hell happened?
It's pretty much Hulk Hogan in WCW before the NWO.
Just a giant ball of disappointment.
Much like Hulk Hogan's acting career.
Much like Hulk Hogan.
After 1991.
Definitely after 1991.
We wrap up the show for a repeat of the Clash of the Champions match between the three Faces of Fear, Sullivan, Butcher, and Avalanche, versus Dave Sullivan, Sting, and Hulk Hogan, where the Butcher beat Hogan with a sleeper hold.
You know, you look at, like, how the rear naked choke is so over now. And how, like, Samoa Joe and Shayna Baszler and all these wrestlers are using what is essentially the sleeper hold. And then you go back to a match like this, and you see Ed Leslie putting on his sleeper hold. And I remember watching wrestling in the 90s and seeing sleeper holds and thinking it was the lamest move ever. And it was because of guys like Ed Leslie, because of guys like the Butcher, who just kind of, like, hug the head, and they're not even trying to make it look like they're, you know, choking the life out of somebody.
And then you see guys like Waylon Mercy and Roddy Piper who would actually look like they're choking the life out of someone.
Oh, yeah. And especially when you're comparing it to somebody like Roddy Piper. He never went into, like, the full body scissors the way you'll see, like, Joe do it now. But at least when Roddy Piper did his sleeper hold, you could believe it. You could believe that he was trying to wear you down. When the Butcher does it, I don't know. It's like watching the Three Stooges do a sleeper hold.
Ugh.
And the fact of the matter is, the Stooges would probably have a better sleeper hold than him.
Right. So after that, Sully, Dusty, and Sabisco wished everyone a happy holiday and plugged Saturday night.
Which would be, what, 6-8 hours later? No, wait, no.
Yeah, it'd be about
Pro would be about, what, 9 in the morning?
9 in the morning, be 6 in the morning, so 9 hours.
Okay, yeah.
You gotta admit, a kid in 94 who loved pro wrestling, he had a big schedule.
Oh, yeah.
Because you had Pro, that you would turn on USA for Mania, then somewhere in between there would probably be Superstars, then Saturday Night, and maybe even in between that would be Worldwide.
And it also depends. This was also when the WWF was still doing the syndicated shows. Superstars.
And Syndicated Wrestling Challenge.
But yeah, they were still doing a syndicated show at that time, and that would be Saturday or Sunday, given the market.
Mm-hmm. And then Sunday you had Action Zone.
Well, 94 was a good year for weekend wrestling.
Mm-hmm. That's why the first 3 shows of the C-List were all in 94. We'll do another year next time. You got any final thoughts on this episode of Pro?
When I compare, like, the WCW C-show experience to the WWF C-show experience around the same time, I don't know. I tend to remember WWF wrestling not being as good in ring, but it was easier to watch. Whereas,
right, because it's memorable.
Yeah, but you could, like, watch the WCW show, and the matches would be, like, fundamentally better, but then you would be, then it would be like, well, okay, here's Alex Wright and Dustin Rhodes and Marcus Bagwell, and they're not going to do a damn thing you're going to care about. And in between all of them are Hogan promos, and I don't know.
Yeah, this was not a good episode of WCW Pro. I mean, there was nothing memorable whatsoever, and the Hogan promos just brought it down. And I did not need to see that Clash match again.
And at least they didn't play the whole thing. They could have played the whole thing.
I think they did play the whole thing.
I don't know. It felt like they cut some. I don't know.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up. I guess we'll do something different for the next edition of the C-List. Maybe, I want to go, like, to 92.
Okay.
And do, like, a worldwide... What was the C show? I guess main event from 92, or worldwide from 92. I'll do another WCW one from 92. Because at least I had something memorable. Or 95. Probably something from 95. Anyway, thanks for coming on the show, Daria.
Yep, it was good being here.
Mm-hmm. And we will see you next time on the C-List. For Daria Quinn, I am Cindy Saddleman. Until next time, bye-bye!